Hey everybody,
Hey.
we're back together. We're excited to be with you again. We thought it would be fun to check in a little bit and talk about like what some of the things are, the difficulties about going back to school and being a mom and trying to do some of the things that are difficult in life.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Difficult.
So one of the things that I struggle with is that like kids have this like need to have everything, right?
Right brand, right stuff,
Yes.
like all of the things to start school. It almost I remember going back as a kid and feeling the need to want to do that too and fit in and have the things that my friends had or the things that the people I really wanted to be friends with them, what they had, like just wanting to ultimately fit in.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's about fitting in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Or wanting to be included.
Yeah. Well, and to want to present the right thing. Like we did some cups for some of the girls, and you know they put the slang on it, the new slang, right? The W Riz, and my granddaughter started crying because we made her one. And I was like, "Why are you crying?" And she goes, "What if people don't think I have W Riz?"
Oh,
What is it? What is W Riz?
I don't even know what it means
Please,
either. But
anybody? Hashtag update the old ladies.
W Riz is actually like saying that you have game, like you have. Another word they use is motion, right? Like you have charisma. You can be attractive to whoever. So W Riz is like the top, the elite of being
right here.
Able to
W Riz up in the house.
So I just thought it was interesting that she cried.
It is interesting. But when I was thinking while you were talking about that, about how do we teach our kids how to be authentically themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a cool experience where in my coaching, I was coaching a few kids, and it was just me and 3 other kids, right? And then my little girl. And we're doing this, and the song came on. It was Beautiful Things or whatever. And they started singing, the 2 kids started singing, like belting it out, like they didn't care who was watching or whatever. And my little girl was kind of getting shy, like, I'm not going to do that, you know? And I was like, no, I'm going to join in. And like, we stopped and we all sang. And I was like, this is amazing to be around kids that actually can authentically be themselves. And I was like, how do I teach that to mine, where we aren't worried about what other people are thinking about us?
You model it just like
we show up. Yeah,
you model it just like you did. So kudos to you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty cool. It was really cool to be around those kids and see that, because I think that's kind of rare.
Well, I know with my son, my youngest, he has a couple of his friends where their moms or whatever, the parents, like they just in the middle of anywhere just start busting out in song too. And it's something that he's told me, like that's something that they do. They're like, they don't necessarily say I look up to, but they're like, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
That we can just be in the car. It's a song that everybody knows, and he's singing with them. But the one kid, where the parent, is like, really? But the friends like it, that they can jump in and be with it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. I know my daughter, one of the things that I really admire about her, and she does this no matter where we're at, any time of day, wherever, she doesn't hold back. If she likes something about you, she'll compliment you.
Yeah, she does.
And I told her one day, I was like, I'm really proud of you for doing that. That's really
yeah, don't
cool.
lose that.
And she goes, well, I'm really good at that, but like keeping a conversation going, I can't do it.
I can start it, just can't keep it going.
I was like, actually, you do. Like it, that's just the start, and then people continue going on. So, sometimes we think we can't do something, and we're actually doing really well at it. And other people,
that's usually how I go.
Yeah, and other people are amazed at how well you support yourself.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't really think about or consider like who's watching us and what we're doing.
Yeah. But if we can start to recognize ourselves and give ourselves a pat on the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
wipe that dirt off,
Mm-hmm.
then the kids feel comfortable to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Start calling themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing.
I kind of want to talk about because you and I have daughters. You have a daughter too that's older, but just
She's still been that age.
some of the girl drama and how catty girls can be, and how do we help break that mold of mean girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked the group that we did when I was in residential, and where it was about the drama triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used that so many times with my little girl, is like teaching her how to open the drama triangle. Do you want to explain it a little?
Sure. So the drama triangle really is about looking at who you're trying to pull in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're trying to get the attention from. So the triangle, there's 3 points of the triangle, and the first one is the victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
We play victim a lot because we want other people to lift us up and support us.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we do that, we need somebody to be the perpetrator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So especially with 3 people, like it can be really easy to like have a difference of opinion, and
One
one
sides with the
or
other.
yeah, one sides with the other one, and
Yeah, if Julie was to put her arm up like this, if we just kept doing this, we're gonna keep going
Yeah.
in the triangle. But when I put my arm down, it's just
It
right
just
here.
opens it up.
When you put your arm down,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing.
well,
It's
what we
not.
do if you do that, if you put your arms to the side,
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it actually allows you to take accountability.
Mhm.
That's the direct line of accountability. So we have the victim, the persecutor, and the enablers.
Mm.
So in any situation, we can have people that like want to be the victim and want to pull somebody in,
Mm-hmm.
and leave somebody
Yep.
out who may or may not have done anything intentional
Mm-hmm.
to that person, which then it builds this little secret community,
Mm-hmm.
and it destroys
Yep.
relationships.
And it just
destroys,
goes around and around, and it almost builds speed. And
it absolutely does.
And then I'm the enabler over here, and I'm like, but she's had such a hard life, and she really just needs the support to keep talking.
Mm.
Like, what's it hurting?
where's the
Yeah, and I'm letting it happen instead of
Mm.
going, you know what? That's not really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'd rather not be a part of that.
Exactly.
Right? And step aside. And I don't need to do it in a way that's like, screw you. It's more like, I don't like to talk about my friends like that.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about other people.
Well, one of the things you have to remember is if somebody's going to talk behind your back
Oh yeah. Talk
about
somebody else
They're gonna do it
talk
to you.
behind your back
about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's really important to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And it
To
can
be able to say I'm not going to participate in
Yep.
that.
it's a big game changer.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can just be like, you know what, let's have a different conversation.
Mm-hmm. I used to love to do that in residential when those girls, start doing that. I'm like, I'm opening the triangle. Like I would
Let
literally
me
say
just
that.
go ahead.
And that's what I say to Malia all the time. It's like, she'll tell me something about school, and I was like, well, did you open the triangle? Like, I think you have to talk about it. I think you have to talk about it. You have to teach it, because school can be really hard. And
it's brutal.
It seems like girls can be really, usually with boys, they might just fight and get it over with, but girls, they become vicious.
They hold it. They gather an army,
Mm-hmm.
and it just perpetuates.
Well, and I like to bring up that this is also something that can be in the workforce.
Oh, 100%.
With us adults. And
yes,
the soccer moms or the football
Mm-hmm.
moms or the whatever moms. We can acknowledge it when it starts to happen and not be a part of it.
Church group moms.
Yeah.
Any moms. It doesn't matter. Or dads or
For sure.
Or any kind of organization. It doesn't matter where. As long as you have people and the insecurities pop up and they want to play the victim,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have the drama triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It's just guaranteed. So to actually teach it, you do what you've been doing and say, "Hey, are you going to open that triangle? Or are you going to be the one that perpetuates it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what part are you going to play?"
And it's very evident, you know, when your little girl's telling you certain things. I'm like, this is being taught. This is being taught at home, you know, or they're finding it somewhere. So it's like it is our responsibility to make a shift with that for girls, where they can be empowered by one another and complement each other, and instead of this attacking or feeling like you're better than.
Yeah,
Like there needs to
absolutely.
be a shift with women in that respect.
Well, and the interesting part about this is that one of the main factors for the drama triangle is getting attention of a male.
Mm,
Isn't that crazy?
It
that
is.
is. Yeah.
And it's just interesting that we place our value and our worth on somebody
Someone else.
else's view.
Somebody else validating it.
Yeah.
It's validating it
I
for
can
us.
say that I have like
I think we've all
definitely
done that.
heard something and felt myself like sink down in myself and go, what?
Mm-hmm.
True or not? Like it doesn't feel good either.
Mhm.
And most of the time, it's not true.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and that's kind of where when you bring down those walls, you go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Direct line of accountability.
Yep.
It stops with me. It starts with me. All the way through. It's
Straight line.
Yep.
Straight
Open
line.
it up.
It has
Open
got a
up
whole
that
nother
triangle.
meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight
Yep.
line, direct line of accountability. And when we do that, like if we could teach that at an early age for all kids, like what would change? What would change?
There would be a lot of change.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that early stage in elementary school or
Yeah, that
even like the
third, fourth, fifth.
pre-K
Yeah.
and even yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think about fourth. Well, I don't know.
Fourth, fifth.
My granddaughter's in second grade, and we can see
We
it
started seeing
starting
it, and
now.
we saw it. Yeah, we saw it starting in second grade, and it's really like build momentum. And she's in the fifth grade now, and it's like we've had to talk a lot about it. But
I think once your body starts changing,
mm-hmm.
then that opens up a whole nother layer of the drama triangle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because as especially as girls, we have a few years period where our bodies bulk up
Mm-hmm.
to produce
The hormones
all the
and
hormones and the growth, and
Mm-hmm.
we get boobs, all the things. And so some girls advance sooner than others, and it creates so much drama.
Yep.
And they're brutal. They can be very brutal.
I want to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jess.
Oh, you're good.
I want to bring up where you were talking about victim, and that this is just another thing that comes up with me and my kids as far as athletics or anything they're involved in is teaching them that life isn't fair, even though you're doing everything on your part, and you might even be the better athlete or whatever, musician, whatever you want, whatever it is. Sometimes you just don't get what you deserve, and not being able to play be the victim.
Well, I think it's really vital that actually when we have a chance to be humble, right? But we have parents that like continue to
They enable
say
it.
you have to win at all costs. You have to be the best. You have to. You can't do this unless. And it's really sad to see, because what happens is then you have this child that thinks they're not good enough, they're not worthy enough, or anything because they're not
meeting the standard.
Well, they can't win all the time.
They can't.
And the reality is, we don't grow as an individual without having wins and losses. It's vital for us to have both. So I think that's going to be something that we need to like also like challenge ourselves to help, whether it's girls, boys, adults, children, whoever it is, like allow people to just have those wins and have those losses and support them no matter where they're at in either one.
Be with them as they walk through it instead of try to be like, no, you are the winner. Like, I mean,
I was just.
But everyone,
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You go.
we can all be winners. It's how we show up, it's how we react, it's how we present ourselves. You might not get like the whole first place,
Mm-hmm.
but being part of the team was the actual
Mm-hmm.
challenge and you showed up.
This is a
Mm-hmm.
security
I've
advisory.
actually had more
For your
learning
safety, please
when
do
I
not leave
failed
baggage unattended.
than
Absolutely.
ever
Unattended
when I've
baggage
won.
will
Mm-hmm.
be removed and
I
may
mean,
be
it feels
discarded.
great to win.
All
Don't get me
persons must
wrong. We all
maintain
want to
control
feel
of their
that.
personal
But
property,
in
including carry on baggage
retrospect,
and to
being
check
able to look
baggage
at
to avoid
the
transporting
loss
items without your
and
knowledge.
what I learned, being humble, being
Carrying
grateful,
firearms through a
looking at what
TSA
I can
screening
improve,
checkpoint of an airport is
where my
prohibited by
strengths are, where
federal
my
law and
weaknesses are,
Mm-hmm.
regulations.
and actually
Check all
have somebody
carry-on
that's
baggage for
willing to
firearms
actually
before
love me
entering the
through all of
TSA
that,
Mm-hmm.
screening
right?
Hmm.
checkpoints.
So,
Do not leave vehicles
yeah.
unattended on
I
the
think
curb.
my one question, and
Unattended vehicles
maybe
will be promptly ticketed
request
and
for
towed at the
advice,
owner's
is
expense.
um,
Your
when it
safety
just
is our
blatantly is
business.
not fair
Please help
and
us
the
help
kid
you.
cannot understand
If you
it.
see
And
something,
you see it,
say
but you
something.
also don't want to talk bad
Report
about
suspicious activity to
teachers
the
or
nearest law
coaches or anything.
enforcement
How
officer,
do you help them
TSA
to
officer,
understand
or airline
that?
representative.
Actually, it's not a bad thing to be able to say to that child, they're not being fair.
Uh-huh.
It is not right what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And being able to state that,
Okay.
that's not being mean, that's not being rude, that's not those
Mm-hmm.
areas. We need to be able to say to our whoever it is, like, what you just went through was not okay.
Yeah.
What you're experiencing is bullying. What you're experiencing is, not fair to the whole situation. My daughter went through that last year in her Chinese class,
Mm-hmm.
which this year she's not taking
Mm.
Chinese because the teacher was pulling her
Her aside.
aside
Mm-hmm.
and making her the example
Mm.
because in Chinese you can't speak anything but Chinese.
I
Uh-huh.
think
And
it's any dual language.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she asked a question to her friend in
In
English,
English. Yeah.
and it was brutal.
It's just it's a hard thing, I think, for kids to understand why some rules and things apply to certain people but not others. And just, I don't know, that was something that I struggled with clear up into in my addiction, is hard for me to understand that.
I think the big thing is
Justice. We
Yeah.
want to see.
understanding that life is not fair and just.
Yeah.
That you're going to be picked on, and sometimes you are the one that gets singled out time after time
Mhm.
after time. We've talked about in the past, like, how, like, you guys think it's funny that people end up doing things to me, but I've learned throughout my life that instead of looking at that as a negative, and Josh, you said this the other day to me, like, not looking at it as a negative, looking at it as a way for me to actually practice my skills,
Yeah.
Mhm.
walk through my fears,
Mhm.
like, learn past those things
Mhm.
and challenge myself to do something different.
Mhm.
So I think that's a really good thing for us to do, is challenge people to, like, find that one thing
Yeah.
to do different.
Yeah, because that, for me personally, I do not want to teach or raise a victim mentality at all,
Yeah.
because you get into that role and I don't know, it seems super, super depressing where you're having to blame everybody for what's going on in your life,
Right.
including God.
And there we go, right back into the drama triangle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is one of those areas that we get to just go, okay, what can I learn from this, and how can I take direct accountability for my
Mhm.
part? Because we always have a part in everything.
Sure.
And sometimes that part is that I didn't stand up for myself.
Didn't use your voice. And I mean, for me, that was the case in a lot of like work situations, is when we were able to dive in and look at that, it did start with me because I chose not to use my voice. And so it's a matter of maybe even with our kids, teaching them how to use their voice appropriately.
I was just going to say that, like, you can do things respectfully and still get your point
Mhm.
across.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a parent with my kids in sports, right? And there's an appropriate way to address it, and there's a inappropriate way to address it
Mhm.
without keeping those walls up. You
Yep.
can bring them down and still talk about things.
The most important thing to remember is when we are emotionally attached to something, we are going to have our mouths up.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
Take a
about
minute.
learning how to be curious and finding information instead of being reactive
Mm.
to it.
Asking questions before reacting, or taking
Well,
a couple breaths.
just taking the moments and saying, okay, I'm going to sit back and just be curious about what's going on and why it's going on and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Because I'll tell you what, I can mama bear better than anybody else, right? Or at least alongside with anybody else.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with my kids if I'm in that place where I can't
Yeah.
pull back
Which
and
is
not be emotional about
which
it.
yeah, for me the main skill I have to use is that stop skill when it comes to anything with the kids, really, or anybody doing something to my kids. It's like, oh, I have to learn to take that step back.
Yeah, and if you're going to take a step back and you need to call a friend in your tribe,
Yep.
know that there's certain people that will take your drama, and they'll
They'll
make
run with it.
they'll run with it,
yeah.
and they'll get you amped. And there's
Yeah.
people that will just sit and listen and go, is it really the case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just know who you
100%.
can call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up today. But I think that we really want you to like look at how you can open up your triangle, look at the triangle. If you don't understand it, reach out. Let's talk about it.
Ask questions.
So that we can be the change in the
Yeah.
world.
When you start making that shift.
Yeah.
Maybe in the comments in the next day or whatever, we can draw up that triangle and write what the walls
Yeah, that'd
are.
be great.
Yeah,
I'll just send,
one
I'll
of
just
us.
send
Yeah,
it. I'll
Put
just post it.
on the
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
or you can go check out our website.
Oh yeah.
We can put it on there too. We can write more about it on the blog.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So we will have a ton of resources. We're just putting it together. It's just coming up and it's looking awesome.
Yep.
We're putting lots of work into it. So keep checking us out.
Yep. And help us grow.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Oh well.